and we're going to get started. This is exciting. I've been waiting for a while to do this. So I'm here to talk to you about the new JVC projectors, and you might have seen the teaser video. 8K laser HDR, the new Ultimate, the world's first 8K input home theater projectors. And keyword there, projectors. Yes, there is more than one model that we're going to talk to you about today. So anyhow, having said that, here we go. We have 3 new models in the reference series. We have a DILA RS 2100, we have a DILA RS 3100, and we have a DILA RS 4100. And as you can see, these are all fluorescent laser. You can very much say that this year JVC is laser focused on the best home theater projectors. So we're going to go right to the good stuff. We're going to start with the DILA RS 4100. This is an MSRP of $24,999. This is available next month. I'm going to say end of October. My suspicion is we're going to be shipping these fairly late in the month, but look at what we're going to do here. This is a 3,000 lumen fluorescent laser phosphor light source. You'll notice it's in the cabinet that you may be familiar with if you've seen the RS 3000 in the past. This uses, I'm going to talk a lot more about the laser, believe me, but I want to give you the overview right now. This has our pixel perfect 8K display with our 4-way multi-axis E-shift. We call that 8K E-shift X. And again, I'm going to explain a lot more about that. Upgraded HC optics. This is our large 100mm diameter lens, but we're going to make it very clear that in our view, optics is not just about the lens. It's about that entire optical block. And we have an all new HC optical block design that we're going to talk about. 100,001 native contrast, infinite dynamic contrast with the laser dimming, 48 gigabit per second HDMI with 8K 60p input and 4K 120p input on both input 1 and input 2. You can do that full speed, full spec. We have HDR10 plus. We have an improved version of our frame adapt HDR with theater optimizer. How do I know it's improved? I got an RS 3000 and an RS 4100 right up there, and I've been looking at them and going back and forth for the last couple of days, and it's impressive how as good as that RS 3000 has been, how we found a way to make it even better. Cinema filter for over 100% DCI-P3. These products will have a 3-year warranty with first-year advanced replacement. So excellent support. Let's get into a little more detail here. So again, fluorescent laser light source, up to 3,000 lumens, depending on the model. And I'm going to explain a little more how that math works as we go through here. A 20,000 hour rating to the half-life if you use full power, longer if you're using mid or low power. There's a variety of 3rd generation benefits on this new design, which, by the way, comes from our sim models, the projectors we sell in the flight simulation market. A much more compact design, higher output, much greater efficiency, and quieter operation, substantially quieter operation. A lot of interest from people in the 8K in, 8K out. So again, 48 gigabit per second HDMI. That's what's necessary to do 8K 60p and 4K 120p. And we are able to do that. And I'm going to show that to you in just a couple of minutes here, live. We have, with 8K E-shift X, we can take that awesome input, either 8K 60 or 4K 120. In this case, we're going to focus on 8K. We have pixel perfect 8K display with 35 million addressable pixels. How do we do that with a native 4K chip? Well, we have a 240 hertz driver. It's 4 times the normal speed with 4-way multi-axis shift. And we have also a new 8K scaling engine that contributes to the overall picture quality. If you look at the chart at the bottom and the diagram with the colorful bird, you can kind of see what we're talking about. Native 4K gives you 8.8 million addressable pixels. Our original 8K eShift doubled that. We flashed the screen twice. So we were up to 17.5 million addressable pixels, definitely better than 4K, plus a little bit of overlap to get the 8K image that you saw on the screen. But we did not have every pixel individually addressable. Now we do. With 8K eShift X, it's now a 240 hertz device. We're flashing the screen 4 times for each frame of video. So we now have over 35 million addressable pixels. And this is a difference that you can see. Now, I'm going to show you this live, but just so you kind of get a little idea. If you have one of those awesome new gaming consoles, in my case, now I'm not a gamer, so don't ask me a lot about this, but I know enough to get it hooked up and get it working. I have this new Xbox Series X, and I'm going to give a shout out to Ubisoft who helped me to get it for this demo. And as you can see here on the JVC menu, when we're connected, we're able to do 2160p 120A. That means 4K resolution at 120 hertz frame rate. And the Xbox has that little overview menu where it tells you what your TV can do, and you'll get all the green check boxes. The only thing, of course, our projector doesn't do Dolby Vision. No home theater projector does. But we also have our other cool solutions for that with Frame Adapt. So we figure we're pretty good shape there. And even in the advanced menu, if you want to push things to 12-bit per channel color, you've got the ability to do that. And again, the visuals on this are just amazing. And the smoothness of the motion and the crispness of the resolution. There's no doubt gaming is some of the best 4K you will ever see. This is fantastic stuff. And again, I wouldn't be able to show you this without Ubisoft, so thank you to them. High contrast optical block. This is very, very important. Exclusively on models with 8K eShift X. We've completely redesigned the light path, and all of the components have been upgraded for the best contrast within any scene. So the important thing here is, yeah, the spec may still be the same, 100,000 to 1 native, or 80,000 to 1 native, or whatever, but the actual contrast performance is better because of this high contrast optical block. So yes, we're talking in-frame contrast versus on-off contrast. That's where you're going to see the improvement. I did some back and forth. It was, you know what? I don't want to focus on any one individual technology because it's the sum of the parts, but I definitely saw a better picture, and I attribute at least a part of that to this high contrast optical block. The other thing is that this optical block is more efficient. You're going to see there's some different lumen ratings on these projectors. Well, this optical block by itself adds about a 10%, maybe actually a little bit more, increase to the light output. And that's because we use the green component more efficiently. Okay, so why do we get higher lumens on the more premium models? Well, a good chunk of it is this high contrast optical block. RS 4100 100 millimeter diameter lens. This is that big, beautiful lens that debuted on the RS 4500 and then was on the RS 3000. Well, this continues on the RS 4100 in combination with this HC optical block. This is our best optics. This is an all glass design like every JVC. This has an aluminum lens barrel, very impressive build. The highest 8K resolution from corner to corner. This also contributes to extra brightness. So how do we hit 3000 lumens on an RS 4100? Well, it's the basic laser package. It's that HC optical block, and then it's this larger lens. This has the widest shift range, a little bit different throw than our other lenses, and our most precise mechanism, okay? So there we go. That's the RS 4100. And it gets more interesting from here. We are introducing a DILA RS 3100. This is a MSRP of $14,999, also coming in October. Pretty amazing. This is most of what we just got done talking about, but it's 2,500 lumens. Not 3,000. It's still an awesome lens, but it's the 65 millimeter diameter, not the 100 millimeter diameter. So that's where the drop in brightness comes. It is still the HC optical block. It is still the pixel perfect 8K display with the 4-way multi-axis E-shift. It's still the new HDMI, the 48 gigabit per second with 8K 60 and 4K 120. This model is 80,001 native contrast, but again, improved in scene, in frame contrast, and infinite dynamic contrast if you want to use the dynamic dimming. This is also where, this also has HDR10 plus. This is where you get the cinema filter if you want 100% DCI. And again, a 3-year warranty with first-year advanced replacement. Let's do one more model, then we'll stop for a couple of questions, and then we'll talk about some more stuff, okay? DILA RS 2100. This is beyond exciting. We are bringing D-ILA technology and laser performance under $10,000. Available also in October. The DILA RS 2100, 2200 lumens. So again, the lumen number, this is the basic laser package. This does not have the HC optical block, and it's the standard 65 millimeter lens. So that's why it's 2200 lumens. Still, that's a lot of brightness for this price point. And it's a laser. This does have 8K E-shift, but it's the 2-way E-shift that we had last year on the RS 3000. But keep in mind, you now have an 8K input on a projector under 10 grand. 8K 60, and again, also 4K 120. It's that full 48 gigabit per second HDMI. This model is 40,001 native contrast. Infinite dynamic contrast if you use the dynamic dimming. Again, HDR10 plus, all glass lens, better frame adapt HDR. This is about 93% of the DCI color gamut, again, approximately. It's still got the lens memories. It's got the 3-year warranty with the first-year advanced replacement. So Mike and Craig, you kind of know a little bit where we're going with the presentation, but in terms of basic questions that you think maybe a couple that we can cover right now.
Somebody's asked about the DCI color coverage without the filter.
Which is about, let's say 90 to 93%, 93%-ish.
Another question is variable refresh rate. Will that ever be added?
We are not doing that. No.
We got a question here, whether you can mount these projectors vertical and shoot it off a mirror.
No, 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 there's airflow considerations there. We want these projectors mounted either on a shelf or hanging from a ceiling. Yeah.
Let's see if there's anything else. Somebody asked, how
What's
much
the
light do you
difference?
lose with the filter?
Yeah, what's the difference in lumen output between the 3100 and 4100 at the same throw range?
I'm not sure I understand I'm not sure I understand that question. The 3100 is rated at 2500 lumens. The 4100 is rated at 3000 lumens.
Yeah, so that's your answer right there.
Yeah, and you know what? Now I'm not saying this is the best, but I got my little meter here, and I was definitely looking at some different picture modes, and I can confirm that the 4100 is substantially brighter than the RS 3000 sitting right above it. I was doing a little back and forth. I'm not going to give specific numbers today because, you know, this is a pre-production unit and my RS 3000 has some hours on the lamp, but definitely you're getting a lot more brightness on the RS 4100 than on the RS 3000. And the RS 3100 is also going to be brighter. In fact, I would say the 2100 should match the 3000, but it's going to sustain that brightness, obviously, over a much longer period of time.
Someone's asking about the dimensions and weight. The dimensions are the same as the previous ones, but they're heavier.
Well,
right?
Okay, so here's the deal. If you look at the spec sheet, it's like a 1/2 inch to an inch deeper, but don't worry about that. It's I'm going to show you a picture of the back panel in just a moment. The way the air intakes are situated on the back, they stick out a little further, but the reality is your power cord and your HDMI cords, you know, if you just factor in the bend of each of those cords, it still goes out further than any minor difference in the depth. So I don't want to get too far in the weeds, but you did bring up a good point. They are heavier and they do exceed, excuse me, the 50-pound threshold of some popular mounts. So particularly the 3100 and the 4100. And I'll give you specific weights in just a couple of minutes. And you're going to want to talk to obviously Mike and Craig. You just might have a good solution for a mount. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's move along. We'll do more questions. And I'm thrilled to see the chat and the Q&A are both lit up. And we're at 115 participants. This is absolutely awesome. So HDMI EDID. Hang on here. I have to do one thing so that I'm ready to go. Okay. So HDMI EDID. We're going to have 3 different settings, and we're going to make it so that you can configure each input as you need to. Okay. So EDID A will be up to 8K at 60p or 4K at 120p. EDID B will be up to 4K at 60p, and EDID C will be for 1080p or 1080 resolution, HD resolution at 60p. So that's primarily to ensure compatibility with certain older designs. Another question we've gotten is low latency, because we certainly have some gaming features here. The best of any premium projector, and how do you like my little animation there? So I'm not prepared to give you specific numbers today, but I can assure you that these will measure better than any other premium home theater projector currently on the market. And I'm also going to suggest you have the option to create your own game mode. People wonder, why do we still even leave the basic HDR10 process picture mode in there? And that's because Frame Adapt and HDR10 Plus do require extra processing. So they may not be your best, well, they're not your best choices for extreme low latency. So you're going to use probably regular HDR10. You're going to turn on low latency. You're going to turn off any dynamic dimming. And also, you'll see my final bullet down there. The lag spec will vary slightly based on the resolution and the frame rate. But again, trust me, when you see these numbers, it's going to blow your mind. Okay. Laser functions and a few other things. Again, 20,000 hours life. That's a 2.5-hour movie every day for over 20 years. That's pretty amazing. The laser has 3 settings, low, mid, and high. With dynamic dimming, there's over 1,000 steps of dimming available. Clear motion drive is improved. We now look at more frames of video to give you more accurate results. MPC, our noise reduction detail enhancer, is improved with some new noise reduction modes. And again, mentioned the new scaling engine earlier, and I got to tell you, you can look at 1080p. You can look at your favorite sports channel or news channel, and you can look at the logo in the bottom corner or the text, and you will go, wow, that you can see even just at a normal seating distance that it's crisper, it's cleaner, and then you get up close to it and lines are nice and clean and very little jaggies or artifacts or anything. It's absolutely does a phenomenal job of scaling lower resolution content. Frame adapt HDR is better. There's now a setting for aspect. There's now 5 levels of fine tuning plus an auto mode. And most importantly, all the tricky discs that we like to play to check out the performance and try and trip it up. I'm talking about the Meg. I'm talking about Blade Runner 2049. I'm talking about Mad Max. I looked at a bunch of those over the weekend and others. And in every case, I did the A/B comparison with as close as I could get to equivalent settings, and the performance on the new model is superior to the old one. The brightness is better where it needs to be. The lack of anything being blown out, things are dialed down where they need to be. The color rendition is improved. There's so many ways that it's better. So now we're going to go to our live demo, and we're going to show you something you have never seen before. So I'm going to go to I have a Nikon SLR set up here, and this is an Ubisoft title. And what I want you to see, you're looking live. I got it zoomed in because I want everyone to be able to see the menu, but you're looking at 4K 2160p at 120 frames per second. You've never been able to do that before on a premium home theater projector of this caliber. Also, you notice that the gaming is with HDR because you see the BT 2020 color and you see HDR10 there. Okay. And so now I'm also going to show you live. I'm going to show you just a couple of things. And I'm actually going to turn off the lights in my room. And okay, so the first thing I want you to see under HDR level, we now have auto -2, -1, 0, +1, +2. As some of you know, my room is not a dedicated theater. I've never made any pretense that it is. and I have some ambient light issues, and I have lighter colored walls and ceilings, and I want a little extra pop, and so I have it on +2. In more of a dedicated theater, most folks are just going to leave it on automatic and let the projector do its thing. But you have a choice of full automatic, or you have the ability to fine tune based on your environment or based on your personal taste. So that's a nice improvement right there. The next thing I want you to see, again, under the screen settings, last year we tried to help you with the math, and okay, if you were using it with a scope screen, you had to figure out the 16:9 equivalent. Well, now we have 16:9, 17:9, and scope in the menu, so you can tell the projector exactly what you have. Okay, so I want you to see that. And then the last thing I'm going to show you live here, that HDMI EDID setting. And again, I thought this is interesting. So right now I'm on HDMI 2. Okay. And so each HDMI input can now individually be set to either EDID A, EDID B, or EDID C, as I previously described to you. Okay. So that's my live demo. And now I'm going to turn the lights back on in my room. And we're going to switch. And we're going to resume the screen share.
Outstanding.
You like that, Craig? Are you a gamer?
What's that?
Are you a gamer?
No,
Okay.
not a gamer.
Maybe you'll want to try it out now.
Well, you never know.
You never know. All right. So one other thing I want to absolutely stress, there's all kinds of shiny new objects to talk about here. But what makes these projectors so special, it's the foundation. It's D-ILA, direct drive image light amplifier. It's the thing that JVC does that no one else has ever been able to match. It's the best black level. It's the best contrast. It's that amazing color. These are JVC projectors through and through, matched with laser, matched with the most up-to-date connectivity. Really, I mean, it's the sum of the parts. And I mentioned that earlier. I did the comparison, and I saw example after example of, oh yeah, this looks better, this looks better. And I don't want to attribute it to any one individual technology. I want to simply say at this point, I think you're seeing the sum of all those different parts put together is what results in the impressive picture that you see on the screen. I mentioned the back panel looks a little different. If you got a JVC right now, you'll see the larger intakes for the laser for the cooling. The power cable is relocated to the center. I realize this is kind of minutia here, but hey, some of us like this stuff, right? So you can also kind of see how those vents stick out a little bit. And that's the small difference in the dimension that you see. The footprint is actually the same. And again, when you factor in plugging in the power cord and the bend that it has, and plugging in the HDMI, and even just clearing that jack and the bend that it has, you don't need any more space for this projector. But what you do need is a mount that can handle the weight. Now the RS2100 comes in at 49.6, so it's under 50 pounds. So it's got a few more options. But I think we all want to do this right. If you get a 3100, excuse me, or a 4100, please be sure that you have a mount that is rated for that weight. And again, Mike and Craig have a solution. I'm also going to mention the DILA RS 1000 continues. MSRP is $59.99. It's currently available. It is a phenomenal projector. There's also some supply of RS 2000s while they last. If you want that higher DCI color coverage and higher contrast, and you don't feel you need a laser, you may want to grab those while you can. When they're gone, they're gone. This is a comparison chart I put together. I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time on this. I think it's pretty self-evident to most people. But when you look at JVC versus our major competition, the major differences are the things I've highlighted in green. The fact that we offer dynamic tone mapping on every one of these models. We call it frame adapt HDR. The fact that we have the highest lumen output at any given price point. The fact that we have all glass lenses. The fact that we have the highest native contrast. The fact that we have the best DCI coverage. And the fact that we offer, lens memory at the most exciting price points with the most, different lens memory modes. So those are all significant things to consider. I also want to mention, because we are laser focused, if you're looking at a lower price projector, obviously the LXNZ3B is a DLP projector, but if you're looking for high lumen output, pretty nice picture for what it is, awesome picture for what it is. If you want that big TV experience and you want to do it on a budget price, the LXNZ3 is available in either black or in white. And with that, I'm going to say, hey, I'm done with the presentation. I'm ready for more questions. I am going to end the screen share. And let's take some more questions.
Is AutoCal using all the same stuff as before?
Fantastic question. And that's another reason I didn't want to share anything specific. There is a new AutoCal coming for this new generation of projectors, kind of like we've done almost every year. So I have not. What's that?
What meters?
I'm not aware of any changes in the meters we're supporting, but there will be new AutoCal software.
Okay. Let's see.
Which I don't have access to yet, so I have not been able to run it on my. I've run it on my RS 3000, but I've not been able to run it obviously yet on the new one.
There's a question here about why HDR10 plus, but not Dolby Vision. I'm going to guess it's because of licensing for one thing.
Well, there's not a single premium projector that does offer Dolby Vision. So HDR10 plus was available to us and we made the decision to do it. And if Dolby Vision becomes available to us, I have no doubt we would love to talk to them. And, but at this point, it seems that their focus is in other areas. And the reality is that the frame adapt HDR has proven to work very, very well. Keep in mind, like I have an Apple TV. I watch Dolby Vision titles all the time and I don't even think about it because the Apple TV and the JVC are smart. They talk to each other. The Apple TV sends the correct HDR10 version. The JVC does the dynamic tone mapping and you get a phenomenal picture. I'm going to say you get the best Dolby Vision experience of any home theater projector. And it's completely automatic. And that's another thing we didn't even really mention, but the auto picture mode select continues. So once you set that up, it recognizes, this is HDR and it switches to that picture mode automatically. And it recognizes HDR10 plus now and switches to that automatically. And it recognizes SDR and it recognizes hybrid log gamma if you got that. And as a customer, you don't have to think about any of that. You just pick what you want to watch and you know that the JVC is going to make the right decisions. And I found it to be essentially foolproof. I mean, I can't think of a single time it hasn't given me the right picture mode. So great question.
Handshakes are quicker now, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Again, final numbers still TBA, but I'm hearing possibly as much as another 50% improvement.
That's impressive.
And again, that also varies a little based on signal type, resolution, and frame rate. So you're not going to get exactly the same handshake with every signal, but it's definitely faster, a lot.
Another question, no lamp-based successor to the RS-1000.
That is correct. That is correct. There was a time when there was a plan for that, but based on the chip shortage, that was not doable.
Somebody asked about 100% DCI coverage on 3100 versus 93 on 2100 due to the filter. Yes, that's due to the filter. And yes, you do have some lumen loss when you put the filter in the light path.
Right. But it's very moderate lumen loss. And again, I don't have exact numbers.
Any subjective improvements that laser brings that aren't described by the specs?
Any subjective improvements in what?
That laser brings that aren't described by specs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not necessarily subjective. Like power on is under 40 seconds. Power off is about 10 seconds. I timed that just because I was curious. So that's kind of cool. Just, it's so much quicker. You don't have to wait and wait and wait. The picture looks awesome. But I mean, I'll wait for reviewers to look at final production models and let the reviewers comment.
So if the filter is in place and it detects SDR, does the filter move out of the way automatically, or it gives the correct color with the filter in place?
No. You pick your SDR picture mode, and then you decide how you are configuring it. Typically, you're not going to use that filter with SDR content. You're going to use the filter with HDR content if you want to do that. But it's based on picture mode.
Yeah, though it can be configured with the filter in place.
I would have to double check that. In the previous generation, it could be. I'm not going to confirm that today.
Okay.
But I wouldn't see why not.
What HDMI cables are JVC requiring for these? Obviously.
Well, we are going to very strongly recommend you get, a suitable 48 gigabit per second cable in order to fully take advantage of, what this projector can do. So that's a very important consideration. Most HDMI cables that people currently have run in their house are 18 gigabit per second for the older HDMI specs. So 48 is the number. Now, I did some reading and without getting too much into the weeds, and again, I am not a gamer, some of the gaming systems are capped. They don't even use the full 48. They're capped at like 32, but if you want the full potential of the projector, get a 48 gigabit per second cable.
Dynamic laser dimming is a question. I'm gonna ask, it's probably similar to what I have on my 4500.
It's definitely improved, Craig. And you know what? It's gonna be like every dynamic a contrast control ever in the history of projectors. Some people are gonna love it, and some people are gonna not. And they're going to turn it off.
I love it on the 4500.
I think it works really nice. But also I always go back. I've been with JVC for, over 30 years, and we've always hung our hat on native contrast. And I'll emphasize that even if you don't use any dynamic dimming, it's the best contrast of any home theater projector. And the dynamic dimming, I think, is fantastic.
So the follow-up question is, any subjective image quality improvement with laser dimming versus mechanical dynamic iris? In my experience, I think yes, but I haven't seen the new ones. I'm only talking about 4500. I have to imagine it's better.
I don't have anything to add at this point.
I'm just answering questions.
Oh, interesting. Has the lens changed at all in regard to using the DCR lens that mounts directly?
No, the lens has not changed. So in terms of using that DCR lens, you'll be able to do it on the 2100 and the 3100 with the little guy. And on the 4100, you'll need the big one.
Yeah, okay, good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Somebody asked, can you get into detail on the 3100 to 4100 differences, image quality, brightness, etc.?
Well, it all comes down to I mean, really, it's the lens first and foremost, and then to a smaller degree, it's also the highest graded chips to get to the better contrast. But that lens is really remarkable, and now you have an 8K input that can take advantage of everything that lens can offer. And you also have, the widest shift range. You also have a much more precise mechanism, and so it's really, it's really an impressive lens. I didn't do it today or this morning, but what I will offer to do, we're going to do this again in the evening with you guys. I'll bring out my lens samples so I can actually show people the 100mm lens and the 65mm lens, and you can see the substantial difference, in the design. And again, I'm not downplaying how nice our 65mm diameter lens is, but the 100mm diameter lens it's an upgrade in resolution, it's an upgrade in brightness. Why are we at 3000 lumens versus 2500 lumens? Because of that bigger lens. It's a bigger opening, more of the light from inside the projector makes it to the screen.
And
Mike,
the light
you're grinning
path.
there.
And the
I'm
light
grinning
path.
because here's the question I knew was coming. Any thoughts about RGB laser versus fluorescent? Pros,
Oh yeah,
cons?
absolutely. So RGB is interesting. And I want you to know, you're not just getting my thoughts. I also knew this question was coming. And so I spoke to our engineers, and, they pointed out a couple of things. RGB is interesting, but it would require a complete redesign of the entire, optical system. It has certain advantages. It has certain drawbacks that you have to engineer around. And the reality is we are expert at fluorescent. We have millions of hours of real world validation of both the reliability and the performance of fluorescent. And we feel very comfortable with that. And we've designed our product to be able to accommodate that, obviously. And so we are very comfortable continuing with that, and very confident in the performance and the value that it offers. And again, RGB is interesting, but fluorescent is our specialty.
Also curious about laser dimming. I'm assuming there is no dynamic iris anymore, just the manual one for contrast.
Correct.
How about the two?
Correct.
But you do have dual iris.
Yes, yeah, the 3100 and the 4100 have the dual iris design. Yes.
Let's see if there's anything else I missed.
One by the light source and one by the lens. I have to be very careful not to say lamp anymore because we don't have a lamp.
Oh, is the phosphor static or spinning?
It is a spinning phosphor.
And noise level, everyone's curious about compared to the previous or the existing.
So
2000.
I'm gonna answer that two ways. Talked to a couple of different people that have basically said, okay, if you think of, the old RS 4500 also had low, medium, and high, and the recommendation on the 4500 was always, if you wanted, the quietest operation, try and use mid. Craig, I think that may very well be what you use on your RS 4500. And the new RS 4100 in high is equivalent to the old RS 4500 in mid. The other comparison I'll make, just more subjectively, and again, I got them both right here, the 3000 and the 4100. I run my 3000 generally in high, and I got the 4100 in high, and I think they're very, very close to the same dB level. You can see on the cell sheet also in low laser, it's rated at 24, which is the same as the current generation RS 1000, 2000, and 3000.
Someone's asking, how does the 4100 compare directly to the 4500 in performance?
I have not seen them side by side. The 4500 is such an awesome projector. And people that wanted dynamic tone mapping, many folks got a Lumigen scaler to go along with that. If you have a 4500 and a Lumigen scaler, and Craig, I think you may have some experience with that.
Yeah, kind of.
You still have a darn fine projector. I mean, in terms of picture quality, quality is quality. If you buy good stuff, it's good stuff. If it was good yesterday, it's still good today. Now, might we be tempting you on this new RS 4100? Well, hopefully we are. And that's kind of our job.
Oh, throw distance. Are the throw distances the same with the new models?
Yeah, on the 100 millimeter diameter lens, it's 1.35 to 2.7. On the 65 millimeter diameter lens, it is 1.4 to 2.8.
Well, there's a good question. So are you guys going to update the throw distance calculator that JVC has with the new models, or they can just use
we'll eventually update it with the new models, but all the data is totally valid.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Any other questions?
Oh, how does low, medium, high laser setting cap the maximum brightness?
I don't have exact numbers. I don't.
Well, we'll have to wait for some reviews.
Yeah, and you know what? We're already working with a couple of selected reviewers, and you're going to start this.
Mr. Deering, I think, is working on one.
He might be.
Chris, the customer is asking if the RS 4500 production will continue.
No, the RS 4500 is also available while they last, and again, each of these projectors has certain unique things about it, and if you like that RS 4500, you might want to, if that's how you're leaning, then you might want to make that decision.
We have one,
and you do. That's a great question. Any other questions?
Let's see here. Mike, you're muted. I'm bad at lip reading.
How good does native 8K look with E-Shift X versus upscaled 4K?
I have not looked at native 8K, but our engineers have, and they tell me that it does a fantastic job with native 8K. That's one of the real unfortunate things about the fact that CEDIA got canceled. Mm-hmm. We actually have native 8K demo content that we were wanting to show in Indianapolis, and the people that have seen it are just blown away by how good it looks. But I've had some issues that have limited my ability to travel, so I was not able to be part of that when we did that. But going from what my My coworkers told me the 8K looks phenomenal.
Somebody said,
I gotta
hello.
say, I think, 8K is gonna be real nichey for quite a while. But what really impresses me is how much use there is for 4K 120. That's where that new HDMI functionality is going to be, the biggest benefit to the greatest number of people, is for 4K 120, which we just demoed.
Somebody's asking, is the back of the casing longer? You need more distance between the wall on a shelf, about a ½ inch more.
Well, really not anymore, because again,
½ inch more because the case.
No, but when you figure the bend of the cable is greater than the extra distance that the vents stick out. So I mean, the same amount of space should work.
Here's an interesting one. Is the NZ3B Bluescent the same as the RS2100 Bluescent laser? It's got to be a different light.
I'm sorry, the what?
Is the NZ3B Bluescent the same as the RS2100 Bluescent?
Well, of course
laser?
not. No.
Totally different light path.
Yeah. It's Bluescent simply refers to blue laser. That's what they share in common. That's the only thing they share. It's a blue laser design. And again, not disparaging the NZ3, it's a $3,500 retail. It's a phenomenal projector for $3,500. If you want the benefits of laser, if you want to be able to light up a massive screen and keep to a very affordable price, if you want razor sharp 4K, the 4K looks great on that. It doesn't have the color or the contrast of a D-ILA, but the color and the contrast are very competitive with other projectors in that price range. So, if $3,500 is your budget, or maybe you want a projector in a white cabinet, the LXNZ3 is a fantastic choice.
Somebody's asking, is the production of the new models constrained by the chip shortage like NX series earlier this year?
There are definitely challenges, and we anticipate that, the demand is going to be far greater than the supply, but we are working very hard to get as many as we possibly can. And that's a little bit forward looking. And I mean, we've all seen the last, almost 2 years now, certainly 18 months, and how crazy certain things have been and how unexpected certain things have been. But we're on track to deliver these end of October. And I know you guys are going to, do everything you can to help out your customers.
Now the question is, JVC spoken to Lumagen or any other image processor company about 8K upscaling in HDMI 2.1? The answer to that would be no, you wouldn't be letting slip what you're doing.
I'm not at liberty to talk about that.
Are manuals available?
Not yet, although we've been editing them. They'll be available. They'll be available by the time the product launches, possibly sooner. Right now, the sell sheets and the press releases are what we got. And you know what? If anyone has questions, all they need to do is contact you guys, and you know how to reach me, right?
Yep.
I think we talk every once in a while.
Yep. And I'm sure as soon as the manuals are available, you'll send them to us.
Well, actually, the manuals on this laptop here, I'm just not at liberty to share it yet because I don't know that I have the 100% final edit. But I either can answer the question or I know someone else who can get the answer.
Right.
Yeah.
And they should be available soon publicly because the projectors will be soon available.
By the time the projectors ship, yes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So we're closing in on an hour here. So I want to kind of try and wrap it up. Hey, are there one or two final questions, either Mike or Craig?
Some I'm answering.
Well, here's one. Have you spoken to Lumagen or other image processing companies about 8K upscaling and HDMI
I was just asked that, and my answer is I can't comment on
Well, you
that.
can, yeah. You know, in my case, I just watch movies, so I'll let the projector upscale it and, you know, let the Lumagen do its thing.
So,
I have no 8K source myself.
right. Mike, any other questions from
I'm looking.
what you're seeing?
Somebody saying shipping date again, please.
End of
How
October.
about November.
End of October from JVC to our dealers, you know. So I think what you were saying, early November to your customers is realistic.
Somebody asked for 8K content that Chris mentioned. How was that being sent to the projector? What kind of device used to show it? I assume a HTTP.
A dedicated server. We have a seventh. I have to be careful how I say this. Seventh Sense is the brand of the server. And I mean, this is like the biggest video computer you've ever seen, with arrays of hard drives and just incredible device. And that's what we're planning on using for that 8K content.
Another one, will the shifting element be in the light path if we switch off 8K?
I'm still learning the intricacies of how that mechanism works, but yes, I believe I have every reason to believe it will be, and it does not affect the performance if he switched it off. But you wouldn't want to switch it off. There's no downside to it. You'll see that. You'll want to use it. There's the 8K eShift X is extremely impressive.
And it does not add any noise using the.
I'll let reviewers be the ultimate arbiter of that, but I have a high level of confidence you're gonna find that the reviewers will give us a thumbs up.
And somebody's asked about VRR again. Correct, does not have VRR.
Does not, yeah.
And no plans for it in the future? Who knows?
I'm dealing with the present today.
Yeah.
No, it's nothing that you would see added, no.
For existing RS-4500 owners, will there be any benefits in the old machine compared to the new 4100? I mean, it was still a more expensive machine.
Yeah, you know what I mean? That's based on a commercial chassis, you know, this 86-pound behemoth projector. There's more space. At some point, it would be very interesting to compare, you know, resolution charts on one versus the other. My suspicion is you'll find a couple of advantages each way. My suspicion is it wouldn't be a 100% clear-cut win for either, but obviously there's a lot of exciting new stuff to talk about here.
Here's one you can answer.
And let's make this the last question, Mike, because
assume that 48 gigabyte HDMI means HDMI 2.1. Why not called out as such?
We have certain things that are asked of us by the HDMI organization that we respect. There you go.
Okay.
So with that was a fantastic question and lots of great questions. And, you know, to have well over 100 people online is so cool. And I want you to know how much we appreciate the excitement and the interest in what we're doing. JVC as a company is very grateful for that. And, you know, everyone at JVC is striving to, you know, to bring you guys the coolest new technology that we can do and to communicate to you so you understand what it does. If there are any other questions, please send them to Mike and Craig. Mike and Craig can then in turn send them to me, and we will do everything we can to answer it. Thank you to AV Science again for hosting this. And I'm looking forward. We're gonna do it again this evening. So we'll repeat it this evening. And actually, we have 2 different sessions. So the details of those, again, Mike and Craig can get you that. But we'll do 2 one-hour sessions this evening. And I look forward to more questions and look forward to just exciting times with these new projectors. So thank you, everybody.
Great projectors coming, amazing.
Thank you, Craig. All right, we'll see you guys later today.
Thanks, everyone, for showing up.
All right, goodbye, everybody.
Thank you.